Welcome to the Drew Yari Show.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It is Wednesday, June the 12th, and welcome to another episode of the Drew Yari Show, my podcast, which is on Spreaker. You guys already knew that. And you already know me. You already know who I am. I'm Drew Yari. And it is friggin' hot as balls here in San Antonio. Summer just started, I'm assuming. Usually, here's the thing. Usually I know there's like a schedule, like a date saying, summer doesn't officially start until blah, blah, blah. It's like, for me, summer starts when it gets fucking hot. or preferably like the end of May. To me, that's when summer like actually starts. I don't know. That's pretty much how I've always went by it. Summer starts after school ends, and then summer ends in August. Fall doesn't usually start until like the end of September, and then winter doesn't start until after Thanksgiving. But then again, anyone who does live in Texas, the weather here can be very bipolar. It'll rain for like 5 days, and then it'll get hot, and then it'll rain again for like 2 days, and then it'll get even more hot. And then when it's supposed to be winter, it's still humid. So, I don't know. I remember, like, 2.5 years ago, we probably had the most humid Christmas that I can remember. It was odd. San Antonio weather is very bipolar. But, that's pretty much San Antonio in a nutshell. Today, I actually have these next 2 days off. I don't know if I told you. Oh, I actually did tell you guys. Last week I was helping another store out for the store I'm currently at, which I'm not going to say the name of. I volunteered to help out at the new store that they're opening on the other side of town, which is basically the richest part of town. And it was nice. I had fun working there. It was nice being away from customers for a whole week. And then I had to go back on Sunday, I had to go back to my current job on Sunday, which I was like, I kind of miss it there. I mean, the only downside of it is it's fucking far. I hate... If I have to ever work at a job where I have to drive that far, it makes me miserable. Like, it's just... That's the only downside of it. If they paid me, like, a dick ton of money, but I still have to drive, like, 30 minutes to work every day, that would be the only downside. That would be the only gripe I have with it. But, I went back to the store I'm currently working at. It is what it is. My raise... I just got a raise, which is, good. It's not a lot, but it's enough. So it's supposed to take an effect this Friday. So basically, counting today and tomorrow, next 2 days off. Woke up today, kind of a bummer to be in the day. One of our cats passed away. It was our black cat. His name was Duke. And not to sound mean, but it was one of those things where you kind of had a feeling he wasn't going to last too long, because he was a cat that we had a while back, and then he left, and then he came back. He would leave for a while, and then he would come back. And I just remember he had like a full coat and a full head of hair, and he had a big head. And then he ends up leaving and coming back, and all of a sudden he's like really skinny. And he's bald. And it's not like, it doesn't look like he had his head shaved off or anything. It just looked like he naturally went bald. And he just looked very sickly, and it looked like he couldn't even really see that well. So, to me, it was one of those things where it's like, it's a matter of time, which is weird because, like, he would actually eat. Like, it wasn't just one of those things where he was struggling, to eat or drink water. But I don't know, like, he seemed like he was okay, but at the same time, he didn't look that well. It looked like it was only a matter of time. Again, I don't want to sound mean. I'm just being honest. We've had a lot of cats over the years, and you can already see the signs. So I just remember going out in our front yard, and I remember looking through the peephole And I just saw something black laying in our front yard. I look over and it's him, and I can already tell, just like, oh crap. I did the right thing. I went over first and made sure to see, just feel if he was breathing or not, or if he had a pulse. Nope, he was gone. So, and I was the first one out of everyone in the house to be awake. So I didn't wake anyone up to let them know about it firsthand. I let them know about it after they were awake. And unfortunately, I had to break the bad news to my girlfriend, and she was pretty bummed out about it. I've always hated delivering bad news. But Dooku was a good cat. I'm gonna miss him. Boy. Yeah, I'm sorry to start the show on a depressing note, but speaking of depressing, Dark Phoenix. Actually, Dark Phoenix wasn't that bad. Anyone that follows me on Twitter, I said it wasn't that bad. It was actually very good. It was passable. It was certainly a lot better than Apocalypse. Probably even better than X3. But a lot of people were saying it was the worst X-Men movie of all time. Which, anytime I hear critics say something is the best of all time or the worst of all time, to me, I just sit there and kind of raise my eyebrow. Like, I don't know about that. Because when you set the bar that high, you kind of set yourself up for failure. Because when you're trying to, like with Rotten Tomatoes to me, I think they try to deter people from movies that they don't see as being the best ever. And I was talking to a friend about this, or I don't know if I was talking to a friend or my girlfriend about this, but to me, it's like, I think the problem that people had with Dark Phoenix was, I think because Endgame was so good, it raised the bar. Like, people see Endgame, they're like, this movie's fucking awesome, it's amazing, it has everything we want. And then you see, Dark Phoenix, and you're just like, I guess. I guess it's okay. Or then it's maybe the casuals that see Endgame and see how amazing it is. And then they see Dark Phoenix, they're like, what's this piece of shit, huh? But we'll go over Dark Phoenix. I'll do a small little review of it. And usually when I say small little, I usually tend to talk for about 20-21 minutes. But basically, and Dark Phoenix, I saw it over the weekend with a very good friend of mine, one of my closest friends. Since I was a kid. He just moved back to San Antonio. He's stationed here now for the next few years. He's in the Air Force. He'd basically been gone for 8 years because he was stationed all over the world, and then he managed to come back here and move here. So I remember we hung out on a Friday. We were watching the game, the NBA Finals, and I just threw it out there. I'm like, if you're interested, we can go. We can go to the movies if you want. And he tagged along. He paid for everything. He literally paid for everything. He paid for our tickets. He paid for the food that we had at the theater. He had 4 IPAs, which we'll talk about how that ended after the review. But basically, the movie begins with young Jean Grey in a car with her parents, and she wants to, I guess, listen to something else on the radio. And her mom does a little, when you're older and you're driving your own car, you can listen to whatever you want. And she ends up using her powers to change the station, which I think is like Leonard Skinner or something. I think she puts on Leonard Skinner or something. And she's hearing the voices in her head. I guess she's been dealing with her powers for a while. And she just says, make it stop, and then she goes, stop! And she makes her mom pass out from it, and car crashes. Boom, her parents are dead, or so we think. Jean Grey's at the hospital. She doesn't have a scratch on her. You overhear a voice talking. It's Charles Xavier. And he tells Jean, I'm going to take you in. And I have a school for, kids like you. I can help you harness your powers. I can help you channel them and control them in a more positive way or whatever. And then he tells her, you're not broken. Or he says something along the lines of, like, just because you're broken doesn't mean you can't be fixed. Which is, a line that comes in later in the movies. The movie begins with kind of a quick intro, because usually these X-Men intros are usually very, like, action-paced, and they kind of slowly build up to what the movie's really going to be about. This one was very fast, and it had like a musical intro, which I'm like, or not like a musical like, Jean Grey was, singing, a song or whatever. More just like it had like this random music intro that you usually don't hear in X-Men, you usually don't see in X-Men movies, but whatever. The movie's set in 1992. It starts with NASA, with the astronauts going into space. Something happens. They find some type of, I guess, like a cosmic orb or a solar flare in the middle of space, or so they think. They have no clue to what it is, and the solar flare ends up, kind of fucking up their ship. Charles Xavier and Beast, who still managed to look the exact same way that they did back in Days of Future Past and Apocalypse. They see this on the news, and Charles Xavier apparently, he has the president's phone number, calls him and says, I got you, like, we'll help you guys out. And so the X-Men, who's now, I guess, the leader of the team is Mystique, Jennifer Lawrence. And you see the other team members like Jean Grey, Cyclops, Storm, Nightcrawler, and who else? Quicksilver. So they go up into space. They see the ship. Nightcrawler takes, he grabs onto Quicksilver and teleports him into the ship. They get everybody out, and then one of the guys tells him, "Oh wait, our captain's still inside the ship because he was fixing something when all this happened." So I forget what happened after that. Oh yeah, Nightcrawler teleported Jean Grey into the ship because she had to fix whatever was broken in the ship. Nightcrawler ends up getting the captain, but he ends up leaving Jean. He forgets Jean. He tries to go back and get Jean, but this solar flare, force sees Jean and pretty much goes right into her. Sounds kind of dirty the way I say it, but they think she's dead, but she's alive. Nightcrawler gets her out, puts her back in the ship, or in the Quinjet, whatever you want to call it, and they go back down to Earth. Jean Grey is alive and well, and they're at a party, which is being orchestrated by Dazzler. You get to see Dazzler for the first time in the next movie. I forget who plays her. Some people kept saying it was going to be Taylor Swift, which, no, don't. Keep Taylor Swift out of things I like. And they get back to the school, and there's like this big rousing ovation. Cyclops tells Jean, you know what the kids are calling you, right? Phoenix. Kind of backtrack a little. They get back, and Mystique and Xavier kind of having a very serious argument, where Mystique's saying, you put those kids in danger. The only reason why you did it is so you can kind of feed your own ego. You care about. It seems like you care more about being on the cover of Time magazine or being on television, and it's kind of one of those things where you tend to agree with both of them because Xavier's like, so you're gonna mad at me because I'm more in favor of being on the cover of a magazine in a positive way rather than have everyone hate and despise me. Yeah, because in the past, people despise mutants. In the past X-Men movies, it was all about, can humans accept mutants into our society? In this movie, it began in a more positive note because, Xavier literally had the president's phone number. He had a special phone to call the president. But in this movie, Charles Xavier's a fucking dick. But anyways, so they're going back and forth and arguing about it. What else? Aliens crash down to Earth. Probably like the worst fucking CGI aliens I've ever seen. They look like something out of a CW show. And I like the CW, DC shows, but it's like, this is a big budget movie, and that's the best you can do. Like, come on. And Jessica Chastain's character, she's just a normal person, and then she hears her dog barking. She sees the aliens, which they don't really say what they are. Supposedly they were supposed to be Skrulls, but they never said what they really are. I mean, they kind of gave a backstory as to what they were supposed to be, but they never said what they really were. She never said what her character was supposed to be. And it was weird because she was trying to keep hush-hush. She's like, oh, I can't say who I am. I'll get fired. And it's like, she never actually said who she was. Not even in this movie. So I guess the alien kills her and, takes on her likeness, and then whatever this alien was supposed to be ends up killing everybody in her house. So, what else? In the party scene with Dazzler, that's when Cyclops tells her, the kids are calling you Phoenix. And he notices that she's acting a little different because she's becoming a lot more, I guess, sexual. Not sexual like, she's dressing like a hoe, but, she's all over Cyclops when she, comes back home. She's, like, trying to make out with him and, pretty much fuck him. Which, Mish on Side Saddle with John Draper, shouts to those guys. He pointed out, that, and well, hopefully I don't get this wrong. Somebody can correct me if they want. You're always welcome to correct me. I'm not, just don't be a dick about it. That's what I think. Like, don't just say, "Oh, you're a fucking idiot if you don't get this right." Like, more, like if I got something wrong, please correct me. I welcome it. But Mish explained, that the Phoenix was kind of like, the symbiote for Spiderman when Peter Parker had the symbiote, which the symbiote was making him a lot more aggressive. It was doing things that Peter Parker wouldn't usually do. It was making him more aggressive, more sexual, more hungry, a little bit more violent. The Phoenix Force is supposedly supposed to do that. It was making her a lot more hungrier, a lot more sexual. She was craving sex. And at the party she was drinking a lot. Like, she would finish one cup and then she would down another. And Cyclops is just seeing this like, what the fuck is wrong with her? So, Jean, after she hears Phoenix, she looks at, the fire pit, at the party, and she has another, I guess a freak attack or whatever. And, the fire explodes, almost hurts everybody, and so she has to leave. She ends up going back to find her dad. And, forgot how this worked out. Fuck. I need to go see this movie because this is one fact I forgot. So, she knew her dad was alive. Xavier told her that her dad, was dead or something like that. He had been hiding the truth from her. Like, I guess to kind of like go forward later in the movie was that after the accident, Xavier, I guess, caught wind of what happened. Because, he has Cerebro and he can, he can keep tabs on mutants around the world. Her dad's actually alive. And her dad tells her, I can't deal with her, you can deal with her. Like, I really can't. Like, I seriously want nothing to do with her. So he hides that fact from her. And, Jean Grey meets her dad and she's happy. And right then and there, something's going to happen. Because the dad sees her and goes, oh shit. So she looks at pictures of her mom and her dad, and she realizes, wait, there's no pictures of me. So she even, asked him, why don't you have any pictures of me? Better yet, did you even ever, go out looking for me? And, he explains that, when your mom died, you died too. In other words, basically, you're dead to me. You killed my wife, so I wiped you from my mind. So it looks like she's about to kill him, and then that's when the X-Men show up, and there's this big schmaltz with all the other X-Men trying to take her down, and then they basically just show you how they actually killed Mystique. They showed you in the trailers. It was pretty obvious. Jennifer Lawrence kind of phoned it in. She had a couple good lines, but in all actuality, she just came back for the paycheck. And again, there's nothing wrong with that, but she really just came back for the paycheck in this movie. Let's just be real. So basically, they show Mystique, trying to calm down Jean and tell her, hey, I'm your friend. I'm here for you. I don't want to hurt you. And then Jean Grey has like a psych attack and kind of use her telepathic powers to push her away, and then she floats and ends up getting impaled. And now, Mystique is dead, which again we all saw coming. I mean, they pretty much could have just, whenever they release the movie on Blu-ray, just put a tag saying Mystique dies. Mystique dies in this movie. We all know, like, it's obvious that Mystique dies. Like, there's really no ifs, ands, or buts about it. She dies. She's dead. So they have a funeral for her, which it's raining, and Storm has an umbrella, which is like, wait, can't you control the weather? Anyways, so they go inside. Everyone's torn up about it. Beast is, specifically pissed off about it. He's, telling Charles, "What the hell did you do? She took my friend, your friend, away from us. Like, what the fuck did you do, Charles?" So they show Jean Grey, I guess, trying to look for more answers, trying to see what she can do to control her powers. She finds Mystique, not Mystique, Magneto, who's living on an island, in the pretty much outside of the state of New York, which he actually bought, he owns it, so he can do whatever the hell he wants there. They can't do anything to him. What's it called? And basically, after what Jean did, because after she tried to kill her dad, she killed him, or before she killed Mystique, she heard a bunch of officers that are coming after her. So she's on the news, she's on the run. And so she ends up going to meet Magneto, and she's talking to him, asking him, what can I do to control these powers? Like, when you have a feeling to be bad, when you want to kill, how do you control it? And the whole time they're talking, Magneto will pause and look at her and go, whose blood is that? Because he doesn't know, because he doesn't watch TV, and he doesn't have telepathic powers. So he's trying to help her out, saying, whose blood is that? Yeah, tell me. So that's when the U.S. government comes in, and they tell him, listen, we're not here to take away your land, we're not here to put you in jail, we just want Jean Grey, we think she's here. We just look through your place. Magneto's adamant, saying, no, like, pretty much almost saying, like, go fuck yourself, like, not without a warrant, and then that's when Jean Grey comes in trying to fuck shit up. She tries to kill everybody, and then Magneto, is nice enough to use his, powers to try and get everybody back into their helicopter and just push them away, and then he tells Jean, pretty much tells her, get the fuck out of here. Beast gets in the main Quinjet, and goes to find Magneto. They meet up, and he gives him the rundown of what's happening. I'm after Jean. I know she was here. And, admits the truth, or what happened with Mystique, that she killed Mystique. And, Magneto's really broken out about it because, that Mystique was one of his really good friends, and he loved her like a daughter, he cared about her. And now he wants to kill her too. So he ends up taking a couple of his best guys, including, along with Beast, to go look for Jean, because he, has a hunch on where she is. I'm going all over the place. Jean, again, she's on the run, so she's going to get arrested anywhere she goes, and also, she knows she's going to end up hurting people if someone tries to, arrest her or hurt her or whatever. So she ends up, I guess, using her powers to disguise herself, or to use her powers on other people to make them believe that she's actually somebody else. Because she ends up disguising herself as an old man at a bar. Jessica Chastain's character, automatically knows who she is, and then brings her to the, this hotel or like this house that they're staying at, or apartment building that they're staying at, and shows them, I guess, gives them a little history lesson. Again, not really saying who they are. They don't say what their race was, but they just say, our race lived on this planet, and then the force that lives inside you ended up destroying our race. That force. They never say Phoenix Force. They just say Force. This force is attracted to you in some way. So, which is weird because in Apocalypse, she ends up destroying Apocalypse, and it kind of teases that she had the Phoenix Force inside her all along. But in this movie, they just show, oh no, she got that power from space in this movie, which is just like, okay. So, and she, Jessica Chastain's obviously the heel in this movie, and she's, telling Jean, I can help you with your powers. I can help you control it. If you feel you can't control it, you can give it to me, and I can yada, yada, yada. So, the X-Men show up outside the apartment building because they find out where they are. And a big fight breaks out. It's a pretty interesting fight. It's literally in the middle of a small street. It's not like it's on a freaking on a bridge, or like the scene of Deadpool, where it's like on this big ass bridge and he's killing motherfuckers. No, it's like on a really small, it's like a small neighborhood. You know what I mean? It's like a small little apartment neighborhood in upstate New York. And I don't know. It was a nice little fight. It was an interesting fight. Magneto literally raises up a subway from underground to block any X-Men that are coming in. So Magneto gets in and tells Jean pretty much, I'm going to fucking kill you. And, Jean's like, is that a threat? And he's like, yeah. So he raises up some metal to... thinking he's going to impale her, she stops it, and then she throws it back on the ground saying, you couldn't even do that. And she ends up, using her powers to choke him and then break his helmet, his famous Magneto helmet, and throw his ass through the window. That's when Charles comes in. Charles tries to convince her, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I didn't tell you the truth. I was just trying to protect you. And then he tells her, like I said earlier, you're not broken. You can be fixed. Just because you're broken doesn't mean you can't be fixed. And he's almost kind of getting through to her. She ends up making him walk all the way up to the stairs that he's at. And she's about to, pretty much do what Jean Grey did in X3, almost dissolve him. But he ends up getting through to her. She remembers, pretty much the good times that she had as an X-Man. So she ends up, stopping, and she said, looks at Jessica Chastain, I don't want this power anymore, you take it. So she ends up taking it, and then Charles knows right away, yeah, this bitch is evil. Like, he doesn't say that, but he just is like, you'll kill us all. And, she's saying, I don't care about humans or this world, I want to kill all of you. And she takes her powers, they go away, but then that's when, the SWAT team comes in and takes down all the mutants. And it shows, kind of the final showdown that they show in the trailer, where they're all on that train, which, the X-Men do love trains, by the way. So they're all on that train, but they have those collars around their neck and their wrists and their legs where their powers are being subdued. And Jessica Chastain's group, her and her crew are pretty much after Jean. They want to finish the job on Jean. And this unit, which was weird because I look on the collars of this of these, I guess, SWAT team or FBI, whatever the hell they're supposed to be. It said MCU, which I'm like, okay. Yeah, it almost kind of makes sense. The MCU is taking the X-Men and holding them hostage, and they let them go when they feel like it. But anyways, so the big fight comes out, and it's a pretty interesting fight. It's pretty cool. Jessica Chastain and her crew are just coming and killing humans until they finally said, fuck it, we're letting the mutants go. So the mutants come out and just beat the shit out of everybody. Beast is a beast. He lives up to his name. Magneto starts fucking shit up. Nightcrawler is killing people, kind of a la the beginning of X2, where he's in the White House and he just kills people. I mean, granted, he was, controlled to do it. And he has this creepy smile on his face. Storm is fucking shit up. Everybody's fucking shit up. Everybody plays a part in the movie. They play the role. And that's when Jessica Chastain comes in to take down Jean. That's when Magneto tries to intervene. That's when Xavier tries to intervene. The train ends up... I got distracted during this part because... And I won't really make it too short. But I'll get back to how I got distracted. But anyways, the train ends up crashing. Jean is at her full power as, Dark Phoenix. And she ends up, taking down Jessica Chastain and her crew. And pretty much was just like a hand. She doesn't even really have to punch him. She just goes, pow. Like, you're gone. You're dissolved. You're dust. So, Jean and Chastain's character, they fight. And it looks like shit's about to go crazy because anyone who's coming near, this Phoenix force, especially in a big fight like this, they look like they're about to, they look like they're about to pull a Thanos. They're about to be wiped out. Even Cyclops, he sees his hand, he's like, what the fuck? It looks like his hand is phasing away. And Chastain tells her, if you do this, everybody you know and love will die, including you. So she ends up taking the fight up to space and ends up pretty much just, wiping Chastain's character from existence, including herself. So she explodes. And that's pretty much how the movie ends. At the end, it shows that, Xavier retired. He doesn't really want to be a part of this anymore, so he ends up moving to France. They rename his school to the Jean Grey School for Gifted Youngsters. Again, going back to Charles Xavier, he retired and now he's moving to France, and that's when Magneto comes in. They play their yearly game of chess, and it ends with that. And you look into the sky and you see Phoenix. You see Phoenix flying in the sky, which you're just like, yeah, that's an idea for a movie that's probably never going to happen, or not probably it won't. They obviously had an idea where they wanted to go, but it's never going to happen. So, and I didn't stay for the post credits. I doubt they even had a post credits, but if they did have a post credits, somebody let me know. So again, going back to what I said, the reason why I got distracted during the movie was because I brought my friend with me, and he literally paid for everything. He even bought drinks for himself. And mind you, this was the early showing. We went at 10:15 in the morning, which was good because there was less people. But we were kind of sitting in an awkward spot because where I was sitting, there was a guy sitting next to me. And where my friend was sitting, there was a couple sitting next to him. I mean, it was my fault because I picked that spot. Probably should have picked a more subtle spot where there's like less people around us. But my friend, he hasn't been in the movies in a while, in a very long time, like a very, very long time. So, and that's one of the first things he asked me when I told him we were going to draft. I said, "Are they going to serve drinks early?" So he bought himself 4 IPAs. And I don't drink alcohol that morning or with my food. I just bought food. And he's getting very hyped up in the movie. He wasn't talking through the whole movie. That's the thing. It's not like he was talking through the whole movie. As soon as the movie started, he just kind of kept quiet. And only during like certain scenes he would get hyped up. That's the thing about my friend Dre is that it's one of those things where it's like I know him, so I'm used to it. So it didn't really bother me. But I remember thinking in my head, somebody's probably going to get pissed off. I have a feeling somebody's going to complain. And then, lo and behold, there were the couple that was sitting next to him. The guy ends up getting up and then leaving and then coming back. And then about maybe 5 or 7 minutes later, that's when the manager comes in and, she tells him, "I'm just letting you know you got a noise complaint, so just try and keep the noise down, blah, blah, blah." So he was telling me that anytime he made a joke or said something, that the lady that was sitting next to him was laughing. She was making her laugh. So the manager couldn't really tell us who did it. It's not like she refused to tell us more. It was more just like she didn't really know who said it. It was like one of the workers in the theater told her, this is what's going on. So she ended up, deferring it back to my friend Dre. So it was weird. Like he actually was interested in who said, not that he wanted to beat the shit out of this person, more just like he wanted to find them and say, hey, I'm sorry if I was, for being, really loud, if I ruined the movie going experience with you. It's all a matter of how you handle it. I think if it was one of those things where it's just like, hey, can you guys keep it down for the movie? Like, we're trying to watch it. We're trying to enjoy it. No problem. No problem. I'll be as quiet as I can. But if it's like, hey man, shut the fuck up, we're trying to watch the movie. That's a different story. So, again, it didn't ruin it for me, because I was able to enjoy the movie. It's just that, I guess, that minute and a half between, the train scene and it crashing, I got a little distracted. So anyways, Dark Phoenix was an okay movie. Was it terrible? No. Was it the worst X-Men movie I've ever seen? Was it the worst superhero movie I've ever seen? No. Absolutely not. There's been far worse Marvel, DC superhero movies than Dark Phoenix. So I think I'd chalk it up to people. I think people's standards are too high nowadays when it comes to superhero movies. Endgame, because Endgame was just too good. It was too good. It was too big of a movie. It had a lot more hype on it with Dark Phoenix. Now that, Disney owns Fox, I don't see why they didn't hype it up as much as they should have. Granted, the script for the movie was finished before the deal. So maybe, Kevin Feige saw this and went, oof, I don't think I can advertise this as much as I could. But that's the only thing I can chalk it up to. I think it's just because people's standards are too high for superhero movies. Because, again, Dark Phoenix was just too... I mean, not Dark Phoenix. Endgame was just too good. And then before that, you had Black Panther, which, not one of my favorite movies ever. Not one of my favorite superhero movies of all time. Really good movie. Got Oscar nods. And then you had Infinity War. It was, it was too good. You had, Into the Spider-Verse, which was mind-blowing. Aquaman, and I'm going back and forth between Marvel and DC. Aquaman, a big hit. Shazam was pretty good. Captain Marvel was big for, certain reasons. Dark Phoenix, again, it was okay. It wasn't terrible. It was okay. It was pretty good. The greatest, one of the greats, no, but it was pretty good. It's watchable. Just don't listen to the critics, is all I gotta say. Don't listen to what critics have to say. Just go into the movie with an open mind and watch it. And if you like it, then you'll like it. If you don't, you don't. That's pretty much it. So basically, oh man, I'm messing up words. So where does the X-Men universe go from here? Or just where do the X-Men in general go from here? Because I read a report that, since the release of Dark Phoenix, Marvel isn't looking to put the X-Men out into the MCU anytime soon. They want to introduce the Fantastic Four first. Peyton Reed, who directs the Ant-Man movies, he is really eager to do the Fantastic Four, with the MCU. And there's a report that came out last week that, he had an idea, which was actually very similar to John Draper's idea, where this is a team that was around in the 60s, but the reason why they're not around now, or the reason why nobody even remembers them or even speaks of them, is because they were wiped from existence. Something cosmic, something huge happened to where, in order to get this threat away from planet Earth, whether it was like a Galactus or what have you, they had to wipe themselves from existence to save everybody. And with Spider-Man: Far From Home, revealed that we have an open world. We have a dimension portal because of because of the snap. They didn't really specify which snap. It tore a hole in our dimension, so that's why you have Mysterio in the movie, because he's from another Earth. We'll talk about Far From Home in a bit. There's a rumor about Far From Home. But what was I going to say? Yeah, for the X-Men, I don't know how you can bring them in. There's a couple ideas. You can do something similar to what the idea John had for Fantastic Four. It can be they were a team around back then. Like, back then, the only superheroes we had around were the Fantastic Four and the X-Men. And the reason why you don't know about them is because they're not... They actually aren't part of our existence anymore. They had to phase themselves from existence. Which, I mean, that could be a good idea, but again, that's already an idea for the Fantastic Four. You need something maybe similar or different for the X-Men. Another idea you can maybe have is you can maybe take an idea from Days of Future Past. That the reason why there aren't any mutants is because of Sentinels. Because a guy by the name of Bolivar Trask was, despised mutants so much that he decided to create Sentinels for the United States, for the armed forces, the president, or maybe they can say the president ordered it. And the reason why mutants don't exist anymore is because Sentinels wiped them out. Or, again, do what Spider-Man's doing, bring in mutants from another Earth. Probably the more simple way or more functional way to do it is through Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch, before the deal, she was brought in, and they couldn't call her a mutant; they had to call her a miracle. It's an Age of Miracle stuff deal. So, with her show that she has on Disney Plus, that can be a really interesting way to kind of bring in the mutant part of the mutant aspect of her character. Like she finds out. Again, I'm not a Hollywood writer, so I don't really know how to pitch this right. She wants to find people that are more like her. She wants to find people that have powers like her. I can't really say born with powers like her, because in the storyline for the MCU, they said that, before then she was just a normal kid. And, Baron von Strucker using, Loki's power stick or magic stick or whatever, was experimenting on her and gave her powers. So, or so we thought, because they never really divulged on how her childhood was, pre, becoming Scarlet Witch, pre getting her powers. For all we know, she was born with those powers. Her and Pietro, were born with those powers, but they didn't really know how to use it. They didn't really know how to use them or really harness them. But, these experiments by Strucker using, was it the Mind Stone? Yeah, the Mind Stone, was able to tap into their mind and really, kind of hit the right spots and helped them really use their powers in the right way. Huh? Yeah, seems like a good idea. I'll just stop on that because I'm probably going to ruin it. But so that's a nice way that she can reveal more about her past now that you're able to call them mutants now. She can say, I was actually born with these powers. It's just Strucker's experiments made me harness them and control them better, and made them come out more and a lot more effective, a lot more powerful. Now I want to use them the right way. I don't just want to use them the way Ultron wanted me to use them. But, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. And there's also the other idea of, the snap is what caused mutants. Like the radiation that came off of, the 3 snaps, or there was 1, 2, or 3, or all of them. Anyone who was born on that day that a snap happened, they were affected by the radiation, and they caused a mutant gene. They caused them, their cells to mutate and become a mutant. So, those are ideas. Those are good ideas. Preferably, I think Scarlet Witch would be a better idea to bring in mutants, because she's been the only mutant in Marvel that couldn't be called a mutant, but now that you have this deal, you can call her a mutant. So, and also, I just love anything Elizabeth Olsen's in. I love her. I'll watch anything she's in. Yeah, that's neither here nor there. So, yeah, those are my ideas. And I just had my phone on me. So, Far From Home supposedly will introduce Norman Osborn. Let me pull this up. Spiderman Far From Home will supposedly bring in Norman Osborn. Come on. Okay, I think we have it. This is on movieweb.com. Okay, with much blah, blah, blah. We've been hearing rumors that none other than Norman Osborn could be that figure. And wait. Alright, most importantly, what big baddie is going to take place after Thanos? We've been hearing rumors that none other than Norman Osborn could be that figure, and now we have some potential evidence, which if true, could confirm that to be the case with Spider-Man 3 already pretty much confirmed to be happening. We must caution very heavily that this is just a rumor for the time being. Nothing more, so this shouldn't be regarded as any sort of truth until Marvel Studios weighs in. That being said, a new alleged character breakdown from a casting call reveals that the studio is looking for an actor to play someone under the codename of the Benefactor. This individual is being described as mysterious and nefarious. Huh. They're looking to cast a male actor, preferably Caucasian, who is in their 40s to 60s. Not much else has been revealed. Only that this individual will shoot a scene in Atlanta sometime this year. It's possible that this could be as a post-credit scene attached to Spider-Man Far From Home. As many Marvel fans surely know, Norman Osborn ran behind the Green Goblin as one of the most infamous foes. And it just goes on from there. Here's also some other facts. Point being, that the MCU does bring in Norman Osborn to the fold, he could prove to be a layered and complex villain, the likes of which the universe still hasn't seen. It's well worth mentioning that in Ant-Man and the Wasp, a character referred to as the Benefactor employed Walton Goggins, Sonny Birch. It could easily be revealed whether or not that was the original intention, that this figure was indeed Osborn. Maybe, just maybe, we'll get a clue as to whether or not this is true when Spider-Man Far From Home is theaters July 2nd. That would be pretty dope. Unlike my previous co-host, I would be down to see Norman Osborn in the MCU. It's only a matter of time. It makes sense that you put him in now, post Iron Man dying. Spoilers. For anyone that hasn't seen Endgame, come on, it's been almost 2 months. Come on, but it makes sense to put Norman in the MCU now because, and I have a theory that I think he's been hiding this whole time, because he knows if he would have revealed himself, Iron Man would have been after him. The Avengers would have been after him in a hot minute. So I remember in Homecoming, the Shocker and Vulture were talking, and Shocker wanted to leave. He wanted nothing to do with the Avengers. He even said, we're on the FBI's radar, we're on police's radar, NYPD's radar. Now we're on Iron Man's radar. Fuck that. I'm good. I'm out. So I'm pretty sure that was Osborn's thinking, which is just like, I hate this Spider-Man kid. I just want to fucking kill him. But I do that, I'm on Iron Man's radar. I'm on Captain America's radar. I'm on whomever's radar. I'm especially on Iron Man's radar because Iron Man, loved the kid. Now that Iron Man's out of the picture, that gives Osborn, a chance to get in the limelight, to steal that limelight that Tony Stark had. Maybe they can, fix up a storyline that, Osborn hated Stark, that he always hated Stark, that he always was jealous of Tony Stark. So now he can be the new billionaire coming into the fold, saying, I'm the new Tony Stark, I'm going to make America great again, I'm going to make New York great again. I just described Donald Trump. So now that he's here, we're going to see a different Peter Parker, because now Peter Parker is on his own. Now he doesn't have Tony to bail him out. Now he doesn't. He knows. I think he knows if he really needed help, he can call any of the other Avengers to help him out. But in the trailer, they even showed that he was telling Nick Fury, I'm not equipped to deal with this kind of stuff. And he's throwing out names like Thor and Captain Marvel. And, they're telling him they're not here. They're out of space, or they're out of they're pretty much away from Earth. And Nick Fury has that line, bitch, please, you've been in space. You can deal with this. You fought Thanos, you held your own, you're good. So Peter's on his own. For the first time, Peter is actually on his own. It showed that at the end of Homecoming, where he was able to take down Vulture by himself, in his, homemade Spider-Man costume. And that's when Tony gave him back his suit. When he was going to offer him the Iron Spidey suit at first, and then he ended up sending his the suit he made for him. He said, this is a gift for your hard work. I love you, kid. Well, he didn't say I love you, but he's just like, good job, kid. So yeah, seeing Norman Osborn in the MCU is going to be pretty dope. This again with Far From Home revealing that there's a tear in our dimension. We have people coming through our dimension. Yada yada yada. This sets up possibilities for new storylines, new characters, new mutants. Not new mutants. well, yeah, mutants technically, but not new mutants. Not that movie. But new villains. Because Sony at the end of the day still owns Spider-Man. They still own the character. In the intro for Spider-Man Far From Home, you will see Sony pictures. You'll see Marvel Studios, but you'll also see Sony. Matter of fact, you'll see Sony first before you'll see Marvel Studios. It's just that it's a working relationship between Sony and Marvel Studios. At the same time, Sony's making their own Marvel movies. They're making their own Spider-Man movies. So, because when this deal happens, Sony, is telling, Disney, we'll give you Spider-Man, we'll give you these characters, but we want to keep these characters. We want to keep the rest of these characters. We want to do whatever we want. So, for anyone that didn't like Venom, there's 1,000 other people out there that did like Venom. And they're doing a Morbius the Living Vampire movie, which Jared Leto, we'll see how that works out. So now that, this possibility of a dimension tear, you can bring in Venom. You can bring Venom in, to the MCU. You can do crossovers. You can bring Miles Morales in, which would be pretty fucking dope. You can do a live action version of Into the Spider-Verse. You can bring in Gwen Stacy, which supposedly she's in the movie. Supposedly she's being played by Sabrina the Teenage Witch, the one on the Netflix show. I don't even know how to say her name to save my life. But supposedly she's in the movie. What the fuck was I going to say? Yeah, Venom. Supposedly, Marvel wants to bring him into Part 3. Because, again, they pretty much confirmed there's going to be a Part 3. I'm pretty sure the week before the movie comes out, or even the week of, they're going to come out and say, there's going to be Spider-Man 3. Which, again, dope. Again, now you have a possibility of using all these new characters. So, at a point, what was I going with this? Yes, Sinister Six. It looks like after this movie, they want to build to Sinister Six. And Part 3, more than likely, will be Sinister Six. Or maybe even Part 4. Maybe they can build up to Part 3. Or not. Part 3 can be Sinister Six. The third movie always has to be something huge. Or they can do it like they did with the Avengers. Make it a big movie, but split it into 2 parts. Like, Part 3 can be a build-up to the Sinister Six, like you're bringing in new characters. And then everybody gets their ass beat, or somebody dies, but at the same time everybody gets their ass beat. And then Part 4 can be, Sinister Six mixed with Into the Spider-Verse. Like, you're going to bring every motherfucker in. And they probably won't do this. Matter of fact, I know they won't do this. I'm just going to say it because I'm being a mark. Bring in Spider-Mans from other universes. Like, bring in Tobey Maguire. Like you can say he's a Spider-Man from another universe. You can bring in Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, which I'm pretty sure they won't do that because I think everybody wants to forget about Andrew Garfield, which he wasn't that bad. But just bring in Spider-Mans from other universes. Bring in those two Spider-Mans. Bring in Miles Morales. Bring in Spider-Man Noir. Spider-Gwen. I mean, that'd be fucking dope. You know how fucking dope it would be to see Tobey Maguire in a Spider-Man costume next to Tom Holland, next to Garfield, next to Tom Hardy as Venom, and then they're fighting against the Sinister Six. That would be fucking dope. And then who's ever gonna play the Green Goblin? You can have what's his name? You can have Toby be like, you look different. You be like Norman. You look different. Like just make little Easter eggs from the movies. Like that would be so fucking dope. Like oh my god. I would come in my pants if that movie happened. Like if it was announced like next year, Spider-Man 3 and 4 will be two different movies. The third Spider-Man will be so huge we'll have to split it into two parts. And the whole storyline is gonna be Sinister Six. Like, that would be so fucking dope. Let it fucking happen. Hey, Marvel, MCU, hey, Sony, let it fucking happen. I think I just gave myself a nerd boner just saying that. I don't even know how else I'm going to top that. So yeah, I already got my tickets. IMAX. My boy Peter hooked me up. Not Peter from the Peter Position. I know another Peter. He's another good friend of mine. But shout out to the Peter Position, by the way. I'd like to be back on that show. Peter, if you're listening, holla at your boy. Book me. But yeah, a friend of ours from work named Peter, he hooked us up with tickets to Spider-Man Far From Home, IMAX. I gotta pay him back. I'm gonna pay him back next Friday, actually. So, we got looking forward to that. It's actually me and my girlfriend's the week of her birthday, because her birthday is actually on July 4th, which is crazy. And it was gonna be cool because the movie originally was gonna be on July 4th. So it would have been easy, like, hey, let's go see Spider-Man on your birthday. And my girlfriend loves Spider-Man. She adores him. You go in her room, it looks like a 12-year-old kid lives here. She has nothing but Spider-Man memorabilia. She adores him. She still has the VHS of the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. Like, I even told her straight up, like, do you want me to just get you Spider-Man shit for your birthday? She's like, I wouldn't be opposed to it. So, my girlfriend's easy when it comes to gifts. Yeah, same thing with me. She already knows what I like. I know what she likes. But, yeah, so, since it's coming on July 2nd, we're not really too sure what we're going to do for her birthday. We're thinking about, doing what we did last year for her birthday on 4th of July, just like going to the beach. Sounds like a good idea to me. I asked for that day off. Hopefully I get it, which I should. And then that Tuesday, I asked to open so we can just go to the movies. Which, hey, there you go. So I think that's the news for the entertainment. I had it on par. Velveteen Dream blames the talent and not Vince McMahon. Let me pull it up real quick. I don't have the quote on there. Yeah, I don't have the quote on me, but he made a bunch of like Instagram stories, kind of trying to back up his claims. Basically, he just said it's the talent to blame, not Vince McMahon, the reason why the talent aren't getting over. And try to compare it to TV, at the end of the day, World Wrestling Entertainment's entertainment. Monday Night Raw and SmackDown are TV shows. Do you blame the studio or, the channel or what have you that the TV show is getting bad ratings? No, you blame the actors because the actors suck. So he went on his Instagram story and just put up a lot of examples, backing up his claim. I have it up right now. You must do what. Wait. Oh, come on. Really? Okay. You must do what you have to do in order to do what you want to do. Life lesson. Case in point, the series will show you talent who made what they were given good and bad. Santino Marella made it work. Santino didn't bother me. His gimmick was basically tailor made for kids. It was made to make kids laugh and to make the crowd laugh. You weren't expecting a catcher's catch can wrestling, a 5-star classic out of Santino Marella. You were basically just Santino's just gonna go out there and just be a gimmick. That's basically his gimmick. And I guess, he made it work. Damian Sandow, Stunt Double, made it work. He made that work, but then after he broke free from that gimmick, he had a lot of heat on him. The crowd loved him, and then the company just proceeded to bury him and make sure he never existed. So he made that work, but then the company made sure he didn't work. The Miz, and he's still making everything given to him work. Yeah, The Miz. The Miz just always seems like a company guy. Like, if you give him, probably the shittiest, gimmick or storyline or shittiest thing to say, he'll still go out there and make it work. And also because The Miz is just naturally charismatic. But at the end of the day, Miz isn't known to be a guy to truffle feathers or to stand up against the company. He's a yes man. But The Miz makes it work. Literally made quote-unquote it work. Jericho. Jericho has been around since before I was even born. He's always been able to make anything work. Even when, any company he worked with, whether it was WCW or WWE, tried to, again, bury him and make sure that he never existed. Again, you're talking about Jericho. Jericho is just naturally charismatic. And it shows a picture of the Nation of Domination, Godfather, Farouk. It says APA, The Rock, and D'Lo Brown. You're talking about a time when Vince did what he had to do to get the ratings up to compete with WCW. So a lot of guys were allowed a lot more creative freedom, whereas to now it's very PC, and Vince, for whatever reason, is giving into this PC culture. So a lot of guys, aren't given that creative freedom. Even top guys, like John Cena. I'm pretty sure John Cena didn't always get what he wanted. I'm pretty sure Roman Reigns, according to Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns has to read whatever he's given. The Rock. You're talking about lightning in a bottle. The Rock has and still has always been naturally charismatic, and he was given a shitty gimmick of Flex Kavana, and the fans threw it back in his face saying, fuck you, we don't like the fact that you're coming in and smiling all the time and telling us that you love us. And then that's when The Rock happened, and you can find it online. I think it's on Oprah's YouTube channel. The Rock, tell the story of that. When he was hurt, he called Vince and said, "Hey, when I come back on Monday, can you give me 5 minutes of TV time? Just let me go out there and say what I want." And Vince trusted Dwayne, and Dwayne went out there and just spoke his mind, and that's when the crowd started to like him. So again, you're talking about The Rock. D'Lo had an okay career, but I don't know what he made work, other than the fact that he, ruined, Draz's career. Farouk, Yeah, the APA, was a funny tag team. They're entertaining. They had one of the better segments of the show. But again, I don't know what he made work. Godfather, yeah, that was a good gimmick. It was the kind of gimmick that I would watch and make sure that nobody was in the room when I was watching it. Eugene, be more like Eugene, make it work. Yeah, he made the gimmick work. I mean, it got to the point where he was in a high-profile feud with Triple H. At the end of the day, that was his glass ceiling. WWE, it's always going. At the end of the day, it's always going to be a gimmick. They're always going to give you a gimmick. They don't care what your accolades were in Ring of Honor or in Japan. They're always going to give you a gimmick and make sure if you're entertaining to run with it or not, I guess. Doink the Clown, I wasn't alive for that, so I can't really speak on that. The Boogeyman, yeah, the Boogeyman. I mean, I like the Boogeyman. That was a funny gimmick. He made it work because he believed it. What was his name? Marty something? Marty Wright. The story that Jim Cornette tells, he was able to make that gimmick work. He can go out there and cut a really good promo and still look like a complete monster. He made it work because he lived the gimmick. He wasn't a Kurt Angle or a Roderick Strong, but he made it work. He had a good gimmick. Goldust, again, he made that gimmick work. That gimmick was huge back in the 90s, and it carried on, until he left WWE, which was 2019. So yeah, he made it work. He has more here. Steve Austin started as the ringmaster. Bad gimmick. Steve Austin made it work, so he earned the trust and earned the right to be Stone Cold Steve Austin. Again, you're talking about Steve Austin. Steve Austin was always had the reputation of being a good worker, and then he went to ECW, and Paul Heyman was able to make him a good talker. Comes to WWE, and my voice keeps breaking. And there's always that famous story of he was, thinking of a name, and he was watching a documentary about Richard Krasinski, who was the Iceman, who was I think like a hitman for the mob, and he was sending in different ideas of Iceman or ice or just things involving ice or cold, and they're just sending in these kind of bullshit names. And his first wife, I think her name was Jeannie Williams, I believe, and she's a British woman. She was giving him tea and said, honey, make sure you drink your tea before you get Stone Cold Steve Austin. Then he made the 316 speech at King of the Ring in '96 to Jake Roberts. Tell that piece of trash, you can thump your Bibles. John 3:16, Austin 3:16 says I just whooped your ass. And the rest, as you say, is history. Fun fact about that was actually supposed to be Triple H. Not Triple H being Stone Cold Steve Austin. Tell that piece of trash, that Hunter 3:16, I can't do it, it's hurting my voice. The original idea was that Triple H was supposed to win or Hunter Hearst Helmsley was supposed to win the King of the Ring that year, but because of the curtain call, and they couldn't do anything to Hall or Nash, and Shawn was the champion, so he was untouchable. Triple H had to carry the load, and he literally had to job out for the whole year. And then '97 is when he won the King of the Ring against Mankind. So there we go. Kane, Glenn Jacobs started as Dr. Isaac Yankem. Glenn Jacobs made it work, so he earned trust and earned the right to be Kane. Again, right about that. Talk about Batista, you're talking about The Rock, talking about Triple H. And then he ends it with the adults who refuse to accept WWE as sports entertainment are the kids who never grew up. Enjoy the product for what it is. I don't know what to think about that, because when it first came out that he was, trashing the talent, or not really trashing the talent, but he was blaming the talent, it sounded more like he was in character. Because it wasn't Patrick who said this, it was Velveteen Dream. And apparently he says stuff like this all the time. Like he makes little, he breaks the fourth wall a lot. Because after what's it called? After TakeOver, he apparently added AEW and said, follow that. And then he had to quickly delete it. So, I don't know. Because with Dean Ambrose, made it very clear in the podcast with Jericho, it's all Vince. Vince is, he's not, he doesn't know how to make a superstar in 2019. He doesn't know what wrestling is like in 2019. He still thinks his ideas from the 80s are always going to work. The point that Velveteen Dream is making is it's kind of contradicting, back and forth, because Dwayne Johnson, as a person, is naturally charismatic. Therefore he was able to make the Rock gimmick work. He had the trust of Vince McMahon. He had the trust of the company behind him that was able to make this company work. And also, back in the day, there weren't like 8 million writers. It was just Vince and Pat Patterson and Vince Russo and Jim Cornette booking the show. Now you have 8 million writers. If Dwayne Johnson, if The Rock was in wrestling today, that gimmick would not have worked. Back in the day, it was a lot easier for guys to get over gimmicks because you only had a handful of guys that were booking the show. And also, it helped that Dwayne Johnson as a person is naturally charismatic. He was able to make it work, and he had the trust of Vince behind him. Same thing with Steve Austin. Steve Austin was known as a guy who could have a really good match and cut a decent promo. And then he had the Stone Cold name behind him. He was able to cut that legendary promo. Hunter Hearst Helmsley, had a crappy, blue blood gimmick, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people hate me for this. I never hated Triple H. I know the big thing with the internet wrestling community is to hate Triple H. I never really hated Triple H. I understood. I acknowledged the fact that he did some things. He held a lot of guys down. And it was interesting because I was just having a conversation earlier with my girlfriend, this is kind of like off topic. Cardi B recently, I guess, did an interview where she said she used to watch wrestling. Her favorites are Eddie Guerrero and Triple H and Lita, and she was naming a bunch of other people. And I guess some people were kind of like, some wrestling fans were kind of trying to chastise her for oh, you like wrestling, so who are your favorites and blah blah blah. And she just says, my favorites are A, B, C, and D. And that's kind of going with the territory of a lot of wrestling fans, because wrestling fans will, and I'm not trying to act innocent, I've done this before, that they'll watch a DVD or a shoot interview or read something online, and they'll assume they know what the business is. Joe Numbers, from Wrestling Soup, shout out to Joe, is literally entrenched in the business still. He's been a part of the business since he was 16. He's been a referee for a very, 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 very long fucking time. Anytime he says anything about what's going on backstage, about things he knows, about people he knows, about things he's heard, I don't question it. He may say things that I don't agree with, but I never question it because I know this is coming from the guy who's actually a part of it. So if someone's actually a part of something, I don't question it. The wrestlers, it can be a very different story, because sometimes the things they say could be coming from a place of bitterness and hate, and I compare it to when the New Age Outlaws, they did their infamous shoot interview from 15 years ago, where they were just trashing the company, they were trashing Vince. Billy Gunn was saying, if I ever see Triple H, I'll beat the fuck out of him. And then years later, when they got hired back from the company, Jesse James was a different person. He's a born again Christian. They said at that time, we were two very different people. I was a drug addict. I was hopped on drugs. I wasn't a very easy person to be around. Two very different people. So a lot of wrestlers at the time could say, I hate Vince McMahon for what he did to me. I hate him for firing me. I hate the fact that he fired me because I decided to spend all my money on drugs and not, help my family out, yada, yada, yada. Again, it's a double-edged sword because, like I was saying, back in the day, you only had a handful of guys that were actually booking the show. Now you have 8 million writers booking the show, which to me makes it a little difficult for, I think, any guy's gimmick to get over because, I don't know. Because with Dean Ambrose, he's saying, I have writers that are giving me this bullshit to say, and it doesn't sound like something a cool guy would say. And then Vince is, backing up saying, "Oh no, you're wonderful. You're like this is good shit. This is good shit." I also don't like, and again, I'm not trying to kiss Vince McMahon's ass or kiss WWE's ass. It's also not. I just think there's a lack of star power in the company. Because who's really the biggest star in the WWE right now? Or wrestling in general. And this is probably going to anger some people, I'm not really a Kenny Omega fan. I don't think Kenny Omega is that great. Is he a great wrestler? Yeah. Can he talk? He's okay. But is he like the greatest thing since Jesus? To me, he just looks like any other wrestler. Any other internet darling. You know what I mean? Roman Reigns, he just pointing out the obvious. He hasn't been the same since he came back. He's lost a step. They really should have just let him take as much time as he needed, even if it meant him being gone for maybe even like a year or two. Like, let him take time off to really get back to being 100%. But you just rushed him back. It felt like he literally just came out and said, "Hey, I have leukemia. I gotta heal. I gotta go home." And then literally, it felt like 2 weeks later, "Hey guys, I'm back. I'm in remission." It's like, really? But as big a star as they've been trying to push Roman Reigns as, he's really not a big star. Seth Rollins, great wrestler. He's not a star. Trying to think of who else. Love AJ Styles. I'm biased because I think AJ Styles maybe is the best worker in the company, but again, not a star. To me, Aleister Black and Matt Riddle could be their next stars, but what the fuck are they doing with Aleister Black? They're having him come out every week and film these backstage promos, begging somebody to fight. He literally said this past week on SmackDown, "I am begging someone to start a fight with me." It's just like, what are they doing with this character? Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being like a Brodus Clay, where they hype Brodus Clay up as being like the next big monster, and then they have him come out as the Funkasaurus. That's what they're going to do with Aleister Black. Mark my words. This is a GR exclusive. He is going to come out and dance the Macarena. He's going to do the fucking Running Man. He is going to be the Danish dinosaur. Mark my words, that will happen. And then Matt Riddle. I love Matt Riddle. To me, I think he's a big fish in a small pond. He really should be on the main roster. And supposedly, the company loves him. So, he's a guy, I don't think the company could mess him up if they tried. Because he just seems like he's too likable. He can talk, he can work. The crowd's very much behind him. Will the main roster crowd react to him? Well, I don't know. But him and Black, I think, are two guys that are so strong, that have such a strong personality and such a strong gimmick. Creative cannot mess it up if they tried. But if they do, shame on them. Shame on them. They should quit and never work in wrestling again. Or just never work in general again. Basically how I'm going to summarize, Dream's, statement is, he's pointing out guys that were naturally charismatic and had the natural born ability, to be a star. Jim Cornette puts it, so eloquently. Steve Austin and Rock became stars because they weren't supposed to be stars. They were hidden gems in the company, but they weren't supposed to be The Rock. They weren't supposed to be Stone Cold Steve Austin. They were just supposed to be guys that can come here and have good matches. That's about it. The glass ceiling for them was supposed to be Intercontinental Champion at best. That's about it. They weren't supposed to, be like Stone Cold, who still holds, massive, records for pay-per-view buy rates, merchandising, possibly the biggest star in the business. Same with The Rock. He wasn't supposed to be The Rock. He wasn't supposed to be Dwayne The Rock Johnson, the biggest star in Hollywood, the most highest paid actor in Hollywood. Making like 5 movies a year. Like he wasn't supposed to be that. His glass ceiling was supposed to be, hey, I'm going to come in here and have pretty good matches. I'm going to win the Intercontinental Championship maybe 6 times, and then maybe be a trainer for the the developmental guys. That was supposed to be his glass ceiling. And it also helped. They were a classic example of wrestlers that they didn't need a title to be over. They were already naturally over. It just happened that they were champion, that they were able to make those titles mean something. Nowadays, they put titles on guys to get them over. Roman Reigns is already about to, match or surpass Hulk Hogan's title record. And what has Roman Reigns done? Like, what is Roman Reigns' big moment? That wasn't in the Shield. It's just, I don't know. Titles nowadays are become props. They're worthless. The WWE title is worthless. They gave it to Jinder Mahal, and that's when it became worthless. The women's title is worthless. You give it to Carmella, that became worthless. The Universal title, to me, is a cursed title. It just seems like anyone who has that title, something's always going to happen to them. They're either going to get hurt or they're going to get sick. And then it somehow ends up being back on Brock Lesnar's arms. So, the problem, I can see where Dream is coming from. If he's being serious, yeah, you need to make something work, but you're also naming guys that were naturally charismatic that can make it work, that look like stars. You don't have any stars in the company. Rollins is not a star. Rollins is a really good wrestler. Roman Reigns, as much as they want to push him as a star, he's not a star. As much as I like John Moxley, he's not a star. He doesn't look like a star. We live in an era in wrestling where you have guys that are just very good wrestlers, that are very entertaining, but can't really cut promos. And as much as I like Kofi Kingston, he's not a really good talker. He's an okay talker. I liked his promo on SmackDown last week. Showing the vignette. Well, not really a vignette, but him and Ghana, visiting the king of Ghana. Not Ghana, but Ghana. Talking to kids. Kofi Kingston is good in that setting where he's being inspirational in his promo, not trying to be a badass. Other than that, he has a caved-in chest. He looks like a guy who's in very good shape. Not the type of guy you should be intimidated by. Not to say that Kofi's a pussy. I'm pretty sure Kofi can beat my ass, but, it's that illusion of you see guys like Steve Austin, you saw guys like The Rock and Undertaker and Kane, Farouk and Bradshaw, and you see them and you go, you guys are fucking huge. I would not want to be in a fight. I would not want to be in a bar fight with them. So, I can see where Dream is coming from, definitely, but again, you're asking a lot out of very little. Which sounds kind of harsh to say, but it's kind of true. I mean, who else in the company can cut a good promo? Could really bring audiences in. I mean, yeah, Kevin Owens, yeah. Miz, yeah. That's it. As those guys are good promo cutters, but do they look like ass kickers? Do they look like stars? No. They don't look like stars. Kevin Owens is able to make shit work. The company, for whatever reason, just doesn't want to do anything with him. They give him something to do, and then they take it away. Same thing with Finn Balor. They give him something, and then they end up taking it away. It's like, yeah, we're going to have you work with Brock. You're going to go out there and kill yourself and have a good match. Now we're going to have you work Baron Corbin. It's like, Well, not Baron Corbin, but Bobby Lashley. Again, Miz is a company guy. He's going to do what the company asks him to do. He's not going to play hardball. He's just going to do his job. You need more guys like that. You need more guys in the locker room that are going to know their spot and know their worth. Like a Steve Austin, I'm not doing this shit. If Vince McMahon told Steve Austin, you're going to say suffering succotash in the ring, you know what Steve Austin's going to say? I'm not saying that shit. Find somebody else I'll say because I'm not fucking saying it. If he tells The Rock to go say it, The Rock's is just going to laugh and go, I'm not fucking saying that shit, Vince. A lot of these quote unquote top guys, they need to realize their position and their worth in the company, and think to their head, wait, I'm Seth Rollins, I'm the Universal Champion, I'm the guy on Raw. Why the fuck am I going out there and saying that shit? Why am I saying this shit to Brock Lesnar? As Roman Reigns, wait, why the fuck do I gotta say suffering succotash? And that's the story, was that Vince told him to say it, and Roman's going over he actually asked Dean Ambrose, so how can I make this sound cool? He literally told Dean Ambrose that. And according to Dean, Roman is actually naturally, charismatic, and he can actually talk, and he's actually, pretty funny. But again, that's just the company for you. Yeah, I'll end on that. That's pretty much everything I wanted to go over. Shout outs: Wrestling Soup, Miss Joey, and John. I love those guys. Go to the Patreon, just for $5. You can get all types of shit. You can go to their Wrestling Soup library. You can listen to past episodes of Soup, including the very first episode of Soup. And you get all types of original content and shows like Global Bonding with John Draper. The Don Tony Kevin Castle Show every Monday after Raw on Mixlr. Go to their Patreon for as low as $2 or $5. You get all types of shit, including original content like Castle Chronicles with Kevin Castle, which is a solo show, and then also Dark Chronicles with Kevin and another good friend of the show, Trez, and then other shows with DT, Breakfast Soup with him and Mish from Soup. Also, if you sign up for $5 for both shows, you can also get a link to their Discord channel if you have Discord. Texas Podcast Massacre. If you're into horror movies, these guys do the job. They're amazing. Been on there twice. Mitch and Lisa, love those guys. I was on there twice. We reviewed Insidious and Frailty. Frailty, I had a ton of fun. It was awesome. Tyler the Trademark. I keep thinking I'm saying his name. I don't know if it's Tyler or Tylar. But Ty's my boy. Good friend of the show. He has his own podcast. He actually has two podcasts. He has one called The Hipster City podcast with Julian, the French guy. That's apparently on hiatus. So he actually has his own solo show, Tyler, which you can pretty much find anywhere. B-Show Brian, another good friend of the show. You can find his podcast anywhere. I think he just joined the Spreaker family because I remember him asking me about Spreaker a while back. Julian from the Wrestling Court. I think he's doing a show today. Julian's a good dude. The Architect podcast with Derek and Irving. Derek's a good friend of mine. Been a good friend of mine for about 6 years. I love him. Peter, the Peter Position. And also, Peter has another podcast called Bops and Bangers, which is a music podcast that he does with a friend of his. You can find those podcasts anywhere. I was on Peter's Position. We reviewed WrestleMania, which it was funny because he said he wanted to talk just for like 15 minutes, and we ended up doing 45 minutes. As I remember telling him, "Yeah, you can't expect me to come on here and talk about wrestling for just 15 minutes." I'm sorry. So it was a fun show. I'd love to be back on someday. I think I'm forgetting somebody. I have a feeling I'm forgetting somebody. Shit. Oh, if I'm forgetting somebody, I'm sorry. Basically, anyone else who listens to the show, who supports the show, who downloads it, listens to it on any platform, whether it be Spreaker or Google Play or Spotify, what have you. Thank you. Couldn't do this without you guys. September, and I should have marked on the date. Sometime in September, I'll be doing episode 100. 100 episodes. Like, how amazing is that? I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Yeah, it's only months away, so I don't know what I'll do with it. But again, I always say this: questions are always welcome. If you want to leave me a question, get at me on Twitter, or you can send it to the email address, which is basically the Drew Yar Show @gmail.com. So if you have any questions that you don't want to see anyone else look at, you can just send it to me on my Gmail. Questions are always welcome. So that is pretty much it for today's show. We had a lot to talk about, cover a lot of bases. I pretty much got one through A to Z on what I wanted to talk about, which is awesome. So, anyways, that is the show. I will be back next Wednesday as usual, or there's always a possibility I might do a second show out of the week, but for the most part, I'm always every Wednesday. Anyways, I'll see you guys next week, and make sure you go to my Twitter, the Drew Yard Show, and Instagram, Twitter. I have a Facebook page as well. Show some love with that, and that is it. Take care and be safe.